Alright, boys and girls. We should have everything set up properly. At least I don't think that there's an issue right now, but we're gonna check that out in a second. Alright, everybody. Game on. We have our Nightelf versus Nightelf here, the WGL, and we have Neutron. That's at least, I was told, how Neytpoh is pronounced. I mean, that's obviously like a Russian name, so I couldn't really tell too much here. And down to the bottom left right now, we have his opponent. We're currently seeing Foggy here, so we're gonna see a Nightelf versus Nightelf, and especially Foggy is doing pretty well in the tournament so far. We're currently seeing Altar of Elders early by him. Where's that Ancient of War? Nothing for him just yet. Whereas we're seeing already one placed right next to the Goblin Laboratory here for Neutron, trying to make sure that he gets the creep going there. Down to the bottom left, we're having now also a bit of an attempt to set exactly that up. So Nightelf versus Nightelf is actually the first one in quite some time that we have here. Everything seems to be going pretty fine with the tournament so far. And yeah, I had a couple of issues earlier with the Chinese client here. Communication between the admins was not quite the easiest, especially of course since most of them are not really familiar with English, and they have a little bit more to do than only take care of me. So kinda, yeah, typical that they couldn't really do too much there. So we have Keeper of the Groove already chosen on the side of Foggy, and I mean that doesn't really come as a shocker either, that we're seeing on the side of Neutron. Keeper gonna get a little bit nerfed pretty soon in the upcoming patch. I mean, gets a few nerfs here on the damage of the treants, duration times on the entangle and stuff like that. And that's going to be having probably a bit of an impact here. I mean, it depends a bit on who you talk to these days, but since the Keeper was a massive issue in patch 1.3, most people are pretty happy that it at least gets addressed to some extent. Lightning Shield already getting used to start and harass both of the units here. And we're having Keeper immediately going here with the treants, having the Ancient of Wonders build here. Both of the players currently using that as a bit of a meat shield, and even using here on the side of Foggy already a few treants to just get the additional pressure in here. And as I said before, Foggy currently doing pretty well in the tournament. Had a very, very good start here. And for some people that came a little bit as a surprise. I mean, obviously when you look at the foreigners, you kind of want to see how exactly they're going to do here. Always a bit of a focus. And Foggy right now is actually 3-0. In maps, he's at this point 6-2. When it comes to Neutron, on the other hand, wasn't really quite so lucky. He already lost to THO, he lost to Lin, two of the strongest opponents in the group that he has, for sure. So for him, it really depends on how he's going to fare against the rest of the players here. But when you think about Foggy, Foggy was actually able to take THO down with a 2-1. He took down the other player WFZ, and he took down Chemico. So a pretty successful run for him so far. If he would be able to also win this here, then he would be basically in a perfect position to make it out of the group. And he's doing fantastic overall. Mantle of Intelligence and Ring of Protection on his side. When we're looking towards Neutron, he has a Circle of Nobility. Definitely a bit of a good start for him as well. Tech into tier 2 already for Neutron, and down on the side of his opponent. Don't have that quite yet, but we see an expansion already on its way. So a pretty early Tree of Life here for him, trying to expand quickly. And we should, with that, have the Hunter's Hall here already, see Ultra Vision being put into place, and then most likely we're going to see a second Ancient of War for him too. But right now it's just all about harassing, keeping Neutron on his toes, and making sure that he doesn't really get to know too early what's happening here. First hunt is already out. And of course, for Neutron, it's a little bit of a concern. If you're only going into the one Ancient of War archers, and for the early tech here, you need to be careful that your opponent just doesn't simply overrun you. So down to the bottom of the map, Tree of Life is nearly completed. You look in the main base, you see the second Ancient of War coming in. So a heavy focus on tier 1 units at this point, just to get this expansion first of all up, and then also making sure that you can hold it against your opponent, who will have the early access to the tier 2 units here for sure. So there's no scouting just yet for Neutron, so he doesn't really know what exactly is going on. Playing a little bit more passive here. Don't really see a lot of units on the map either for him, trying to figure out what's happening. So no Wisp Scout, for example, towards the bottom of the map. And as long as the expansion spot is being grabbed by Foggy, that should actually work out. So, I mean, pun intended, but Neutron at this point doesn't have the foggiest what's going on down here, and should have a bit of an idea pretty soon. the the Tree of Life is going to just like eat through all of that. So there's a bit of a hidden spot too, but as we said before, there isn't even any scouting happening. The only thing that Neutron is really doing is just like trying to get the Keeper on the high level. And as long as he doesn't creep check here, Foggy's position isn't really too bad. Now, if you're playing a fair amount of hunts, then you have to be careful, since they are an insanely awesome unit, but they're also unarmored. Against Archer focus fire, they go down pretty quickly, since Archers, of course, do piercing damage here. If you can establish those treants as the meat shield at the front, that's definitely going to help you. So right now, level 3 for the Keeper and his opponent. Staff of Teleportation already in the inventory. And here come the hunts. Nice move here with the Entangle. Can dispel that to make sure that there's no experience on the other side. Has to use the Staff of Teleportation to move away too. Treants finished the creep actually. But by now, we're having the Tree of Ages in the hands of Neutron. And he also has now the Ultra Vision on his way as well. But he hasn't really seen this expansion yet. Now, Foggy, of course, couldn't really capitalize on it yet. A little bit more time is needed for that, and the Scout is finally on its way. Problem is, that Scout is also going to expire pretty soon, so it's not even going to find out that there is an expansion in the first place. Which still means that he doesn't really have any idea what's going on here. Foggy is starting to be in a very solid spot in this game, has started his own tech already a while ago and is about to complete it too, and Neutron just doesn't have any idea. He plays a pretty slow game here, very passive, not too much scouting for him either, finally sending out another set of treants, and he is going to find out that there is an expansion. Now, he himself is already on tier 2 and has been for quite some time, but hasn't really added anything too much. He's going into Glaive Throwers right now, and if he can execute a timing attack against the expansion, he might be able to take it down. Keep in mind that unarmored units also take the extra damage, not only from Siege, but also from, from the PS, but also from Siege. There we go. So this is going to be one of the moments when the Huntress have to be very careful, but if you hold that push and then can rely on the expansion, you're going to be in a great spot. And that expansion is now paying dividends, of course, which definitely means that Neutron is a bit on a timer here. Scroll of the Beast is also going to be fantastic. Oh, that's going to be so good. Again, the Staff of Teleportation doing work here, quicks around after the Entangle, but the Staff helps him to escape. But he has a Scroll of Healing right now, and we're seeing him with a Scroll of the Beast. And guys, that Scroll of the Beast is going to be immensely awesome. If you can just attack with that Scroll of the Beast while your opponent doesn't have any Dryads, and most likely also not gonna have a huge amount of Wisps with the attack to go for a Detonating Dispel here, you're going to be in a great spot. So right now, we're really seeing a little bit of a struggle happening here for Neutron. He's currently on 41 supply with 37 for his opponent. Staff of Teleportation also used here by Foggy, but this is a really good setup for him. Already walking towards the Tavern, trying to most likely get the second hero here in play. Even see him with a Zeppelin too. And, yep, looks like we're going to see instead a little bit more of harass happening here. Alright, fair enough. So another quick Entangle. Staff is actually on a cooldown, and that hero might... Okay, gets escorted away with a Zeppelin, but it could also have been that he needed to use the Town Portal here, depending on the situation. Nice drop onto the Glaive Throwers. Here comes the Skull of the Beast that we've been talking about, and that is such a bad spot for Neutron to be in at this point. He's already losing way too much here, and it's not only that he's losing units, he's losing time too. The entire idea of this was to execute a push with Archers with Glaive Throwers and putting pressure onto the Expand, and that has already backfired pretty heavily. We're having Ancient of Wind double in play. We're seeing the Fairy Dragons being produced here, and this is just a horrible situation for Neutron. Foggy is looking absolutely fantastic right now. He's in such a great spot here. We're seeing again the attempt for Neutron to move out here, and he lost already a fair amount of units, especially those Glaive Throwers that have fallen. They definitely hurt him. Trying to rebuild them too. Ancient Protector in the base as well. I mean, that tells you all that you really need to know. If you're on one base against two base and you're starting to turtle, that's basically you just delaying the inevitable and asking for pain. Even more creeping is now also happening on the side of Foggy, and he's looking at this point at another Scroll of Healing that he just bought, has a Scroll of Protection as well. Things are really not looking good for the Blue Night Elf. Gets the Alchemist in as the second hero and starts with the attack. 41 supply for him, and he really has to make this one count. This is basically a Hail Mary attempt that he's already throwing here. and we're seeing 52 already supply lead on his opponent. Treants again being summoned, Scroll of Protection in play, and the Fairy Dragons are trying to just wreck these Glaive Throwers together with the Hunts. The unarmored units are slowly starting to fall here, but as long as he can trade evenly, that's all that he needs to do, especially the Archers are under pressure. And as long as they fall, you have still those Fairy Dragons doing work. Good entangle on the Keeper, level 5 any second for him, saves himself for a bit longer, is able to move away. Entangle hits, but he still has that Town Portal and uses that, taking a few of those Glaive Throwers out in the meantime. One of them portals away, but this is still bad news. That expansion has been up for quite some time now. There's no expansion attempt on the side of Neutron. Keeper is on level 3, not even level 4, even though he's close. But if you look at supply, 30 supply at this point for Neutron. You look over to his opponent, who also added the Alchemist as a second hero. You see 50 supply already. Heavy amount of Fairy Dragons at this point. Well-leveled heroes. And he's just adding more and more units here. Adding a few more Huntress, adding more Fairy Dragons. Already about to head into the low upkeep. Still sitting at 0 upkeep, by the way. So he's just amassing a little bit of gold at this point in time. But a great position for him, again. So looking at the setup here, level 5 already for the Keeper on the side of Foggy. We're seeing the Alchemist on level 2. And here comes now, just in vision of those 2 sentry wards, the potential last attempt of Neutron to make something happen here. Even trying to pick up a little bit more experience, but just look at Foggy. Coming in from the side, sniping a couple of units again. The Keeper hits finally level 4 on Neutron's side, but this is still a huge problem. Foggy is playing such a fantastic tournament right now. Already so far ahead in his group from everyone else. Him taking down THO was a huge step for him forward to try and make it out of the group here. And he's in a fantastic spot to secure victory on map number 1 in this best of 3 series against Neutron now as well. Glaive Throwers just having 0 impact here the entire time. The tech went through for Foggy. Neutron just scouting too late in this game, not reacting quickly enough to what was set up against him here. Fantastic play, once again, good strategy from the get-go. A lack of scouting and a lack of aggression on Neutron's side just made it nearly impossible for him to at any point come back. The item advantages that we had for Foggy from the Skull of the Beast, the Skull of Healing and Protection that he bought, were doing the rest. And this should be game right here. Not really looking pretty for the Blue Nightelf by any means. 26 supply against 52. There's the GG, and that is a victory in game number 1 for Foggy. Okay everyone, game number 2 between Foggy and Neutron. And the last game, the quick expansion that we saw for Foggy was actually pretty successful here. Neutron saw that coming very, very late. Now we have him to the top right here of map number 2 in this best of 3 series. All the way down to the bottom left once again, Foggy. And yeah, let's see if he can make this a 2-0. As I said before, Foggy already 3-0 in his group. Neutron, on the other hand, has already lost 2 matches, so he's definitely not in the best position to make it out of the group here. A victory here would still give him a little bit of hope. There's still a theoretical chance for him, I think, to advance. But for Foggy, this is definitely an absolutely fantastic setup right now. And the strategy of the last game worked out really well. Neutral just didn't see that expansion coming, and then too much time passed. The items also for Foggy were great. The Skull of the Beast attack that flanked basically the army that was just headed towards the expansion with that Archer and Glaive Thrower push. Took out several Glaive Throwers already, and then the Zeppelin Micro that we had, the drop on top of those Glaive Throwers in the backline, did also a lot of work here. So fantastic situation in the best of 3 series for Foggy. Now we're having Neutron again with the Keeper as the first hero, and who would have thought we see the guy with the green beard also on the side of his opponent. The Ancient of War already straight to the camp, so we're going to see that one Archer push once more that we've seen in basically every single game from Nightelf with that particular opening, trying to get the early creeps in there. But yeah, Keeper always looking a little bit annoyed, and I personally think that's because he knows that he's going to get nerfed in the next patch. Someone must have told me, and I would have looked pissed too if I knew that in the next patch my reign of terror very likely ends, or at least is going to be cut short. So for now, both of them really focusing on pretty much the same setup here. Having the Ancient of War at the front allows you to just like tank the shots here. We have scouting going on a little bit earlier here on the side of Neutron as well, making sure that this time he knows exactly what's happening. And of course the Wisp Scout is already coming in here as well. Circle of Mobility, definitely a good starting item that we're seeing for Neutron. Down on the opponent side, we have the Ring of Protection +2. Not really the best item that you want to start up with here. And yeah, that has been one of the items that a lot of people have been pretty annoyed with. A bit of an oversupply trick here apparently. Building start and cancel that we just saw, if I'm not mistaken. At least we had undersupply for just a second on the side of Neutron. And again, we're seeing a little bit of a creep happening here. I'm still not quite sure what exactly spider crabs are doing on this map here. Maybe a little bit on vacation. But yeah, so we have the level 2 already. Gets the tomb here. Scouting is also going on. Have the Hunter's Hall coming in. And we should actually see pretty soon also the first attacks happening. Yeah, Tree of Life and the Tree of Ages already happening on the side of Foggy. And let's say if Neutron is shaking it up this time a bit. He's definitely already trying to see if he can maybe annoy his opponent, snipe an archer here with an entangle, and he actually is going to succeed with that. There comes the Dispel though against the entangle. Might still be able to hit it though, and barely in the reach of the Moonwells to be able to heal that and keep that archer alive. I think if he would actually have focused instead of attacking the Wisp, the Archer itself, he would have definitely taken it down here. Still able to do it, but even the deny attempt here. Job well done. Level 2 for the Keeper here. Again, a bit of a Wisp Scout in the main base. Double checking, okay, is my opponent already taking 2 in the next level as well? And that's indeed the case. Moonwell now being placed here again. But the small difference that you can see is that we don't have a Hunter's Hall yet. Ancient of Wonders is being built here. So no Hunter's Hall on the side of Foggy. And Foggy is actually under quite a bit of pressure. The attack that we're seeing here from Neutron, way more aggressive than in game number 1. Sacrificing his second Wisp to help the Archer out here. But level 2.5 versus a Keeper that hasn't even reached level 2 yet on the side of Foggy. So Neutron with a way more aggressive stance now in game number 2. And so far it's definitely working out for him. Also adding another Ancient of War directly underneath the Wisp that we're seeing here from Foggy. So that's definitely not going to be a secret that we have a dual Ancient of War here. Huntress is coming in. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's a Huntress. Body blocking the Keeper, and bam, another Wisp sacrificed, and the surround is there. Foggy must have pissed Neutron off pretty heavily in the last game. That guy is here to play and not here to just be simply bodied by his opponent. Getting another owl into the trees, but he's looking strong with this, I'm not gonna lie. That's a great opening for him here. Tree of Life tech also nearly completed into the Tree of Ages. Double checking real quickly what we're having down here. Alright, items already. Staff of Teleportation. Yeah, teleporting on the Wisp here. Trying to be a nuisance up there. He needs to be a little bit careful though. If he's too close to the party and hits the entangle, then there could be another surround. So he was able to maybe annoy him and distract him for a little bit, but you already saw the Ancient of War. Couldn't really do too much here. Double Ancient of Wind again. So Foggy immediately with attack into the Ancient of Wind. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm really curious to see how this is going to work out now, because clearly Neutron wants to be way more aggressive in this game. And so far, he definitely succeeds. They're actually going to creep neck to neck here. Small camp taken by Foggy. And actually, he scouts it. He sees it. Neutron was about to creep the shop there, and now he just sees what's happening. He's starting to move in immediately and tries to take the Archer down. That should be an easy kill for him. One Archer gone already. And can he land another entangle? He's trying to. Hits the second Archer as well. And in terms of supply, he's really looking strong. 36 against 23 supply. Level 3 Keeper. Amassing tier 1 units again. And just now the Ancient of Winds are completed. This could really hurt. Foggy is in a much trickier spot now. Ancient of Law on the other side, as Neytpoh reaches tier 2 as well, is immediately focusing on creeping again and focuses now onto the gold mine here. Doesn't really scout too much at the bottom on the other hand, so that's one of the things where he just does not know quite exactly what the tech is going to be from his opponent. But still in a spot here. Okay, so both creeping here again. And oh jeez, like Foggy is so far behind when it comes to experience on the Keeper. We're having a Tree of Life already put into play, so the map definitely dominated at this point by the red Nightelf. And we're seeing the Tree Hugger number 2 down to the bottom of the map, also finally hitting level 3 with the Keeper. And ooh, sexy item as well. Getting a Potion of Greater Mana here definitely helps them. Already Hippogriff Rider number 1, and it all comes down to does he scout it in time and how does he react to it. Because again, you have a lot of hunts here, unarmored against the piercing damage, and how many anti-air units do you really have? That's the main question here. Keeper is already trying to move down to the tavern with the rest of the army. Adding the second hero should be a given at this point. And then it's just a matter of, okay, how do you react? Oh, there comes the quick entangle. No signatures yet. Twist detonate against the entangle. Gold mine is still being built, or at least the Tree of Life. And in the main base, should have the first Dryads produced now too. Has the Dryads in, and I think he saw what's going on here in terms of units. I actually don't think he did. Don't think he scouted it just yet. So far, we have... Where are those Hippogriffs? There they are. Hippogriffs riders are there, but I don't think he really scouted any of those. So Hippo riders on the side of Foggy, and there's a fair amount of them already. 5, 6 in total. And here comes again with the Alchemist Neutron. Now the Alchemist itself is really not too shabby when it comes to fighting air units. That's also a great attack here, because basically you save your expansion by this. He just moves past the Nightelf player in blue, and even with the scout here and the attack, it's unlikely that he can force the cancel. And if you just start attacking the structures down here, it's going to be horrible for Foggy. This is a really shit spot. I mean, he might be able to trade a little bit, but at this point it's just Moonwells that he's going to lose, and without the Moonwells, he has no sustain. Here comes the Town Portal, and at the top we actually saw the cancel, if I'm not mistaken. Got the cancel through, and now the immediate attack, and the Town Portal is used as soon as he sees the Hippogriffs coming in. Loses 100, saves the second, but yeah, he actually forced the cancel on the expansion here. So one base versus one base. Successful attack by Foggy. I was actually a bit skeptical, I'm not gonna lie here. I was really skeptical that he would be able to get the cancel through, because I thought maybe Neutron even lets it go through, buys himself a little bit more time, and then just simply destroys more and more structures down here in the base and eventually forces the TP. But you can already see that he's in under supply. He's building a couple of additional Moonwells, and now of course he has to creep, and he does that immediately. He gets the Drake here. That was already important. With a Keeper, no Town Portal, that's a bit of an issue, but he's starting to get those items here, and that's of course huge chunks of experience as well. Reaction from Neutron though, he builds the Agent of Wonders in his own base, is still focusing on the Dryads, gets the Abolished Magic through. He's really hoping for his unit composition to just be superior here, and he gets additional XP as well. In terms of items, Cloak of Flames helps him a little bit against the heroes, but to be honest, in this case, probably would have loved to see a bit of a different item here. Again, we're seeing +9 attack even for the Keeper of the Group. Gets a good attack, good claws here. Items on the other side, what do we see for the Alchemist? Gets a boost of Khaldor. Not quite the attribute that you really want here. Still helps a little bit, but when it comes to the item lottery, definitely not hitting the number 2 spot. So yeah, Alchemist is going to be quite strong against the Hippogriffs. We have Archers in the mix, we have a few Dryads, so the setup here isn't really too bad. The Keeper still on the Scout Warpath, trying to see if he can maybe hit a few of the reinforcements as they're tickling in. In terms of supply, we have 46 against 56, so Neutron is already in low upkeep, is creeping as much as he can, gets sentry wards, has access to the shop again, can buy himself a couple of items if he really wants to here, and definitely should, and then can take it from there. Hippogriff Riders already coming in, and there's already a bit of damage with the concoction against the Hippogriffs. And that's definitely one of the things he has to bank on. I'm currently wondering if we're going to see Scrolls of Healing used eventually. Well, we have one bot already, in this case for Neutron, and you can see that this army means business. He's starting to move in, gets the Entangle in, goes for the Keeper, and that's a huge amount of damage. There's no way he gets out of this one. Keeper goes down, and that is definitely a huge blow now against Foggy. He had a fantastic game number 1, but that's GG already, and we have a tie in the series. The final map is Echo Isles as we have Foggy go up against Neutron again. To the left, Foggy in red, and to the right we have his opponent in blue. Neutron definitely game number 2 completely stepping it up. I have to admit that it was kind of funny how that happened. The first game was just a cool strategy, a cool opening that we saw from Foggy, a nice strategy, well executed, denying scouting to his opponent, and then perfectly reacting to the counter push attempt that we saw from Neutron, using the items that he found with the Scroll of the Beast to snipe a few of the glaive throwers, buying a Zeppelin, dropping on top of the glaive throwers again, taking those out, and it worked really well for him. But then in game number 2 we had a completely different setup. I mean, Neutron just basically said, you know what, I might have played a little bit too passive here in the first game, let me fix that for you. And he just went in and absolutely bodied his opponent in the early game, getting several archers with the early harass, focusing on the double Ancient of War play, trying to get the early expansion through, which was eventually denied, but still he got always the better trade every single time. And then with the final push that he executes here against Hippogriff Riders, all of a sudden you just see a massive surround against the Keeper, and Foggy not even trying to fight it through. He already realized this isn't happening. Army supply was way behind. Alchemist against you when you're playing the Hippogriff Riders, not really a good game for him. Now on the other hand, we have in game number 3 quite a bit of scouting going on here already, and so far we don't have anything in terms of structures being built here. I'm actually a little bit wondering how this is going to go now. Okay, what are we going to see from him here? Already having the Keeper built from both players. Scouting is happening. Here's the first Archer. Has the Ancient of War in play too. And here comes the Ancient of War very late on the side of Neutron. Has a few more Wisps on the map already, and is going to try and harass again as much as he can here. Going to keep a bit of an eye on the Tree of Life. Entangle comes through, Dispel, denying the XP, and gets that in. At the same time now, having the Keeper on the way in the main base, and we're seeing the Hunter's Hall now also being built. So definitely playing more of a reactionary game in terms of his own tech choices, but at the same time trying to be aggressive with the Keeper harass. And that could definitely work out for him if he gets here and gets a few entangles through. Already the first Forest Troll Shadow Priest has been bought though, and that's actually one from Neytpoh, so from Neutron, so he was able to buy that away. Ancient of War goes down. What the hell? The Ancient of War falling, the Wisps a little bit too late, and what the like, what? Foggy, what's going on here? First of all, he doesn't get the Forest Troll Shadow Priest. It's bought by Neutron, who now has the Dispel available and doesn't have to use the Wisp for it. And then the pressure on the Ancient of War with the mercenary, sorry, the creep camp, and also the heroes that comes through, is enough to take it down. Losing an Ancient of War this early in the game is insane. That is definitely not the start that you want to have here. Ancient of War down here, also starting to produce, but we already have that being attacked by the creeps, so that isn't going too well either. But that Archer is going to be out pretty soon, and Wisps on the way, so I don't think that we're going to see a repeat. The Forest Troll Shadow Priest is still alive and moving back here. Second Ancient of War is already on the way. And yep, the Archer not falling, but definitely just trying to make sure that the Ancient of War is still alive. And Foggy is still chasing that Forest Troll Shadow Priest. It's like, forget it, I'm gonna get you. And yeah, he's gonna get it eventually. So that one is already down. And yep, so far so good. Let's look at experience for now. 98 on the side of Neutron's Keeper, and we're seeing 88 on the side of his opponent. But that's definitely a bit of a weird game that we're currently seeing here. So Neutron with a bit of a great start, but so far he couldn't really capitalize too much on it. Foggy was slowed down for sure, but now we are seeing again the creeps lured over to take down that Ancient of War. We're having one Archer attacked and very likely going to go down against Foggy's harass that is happening. Nope, not quite. Shadow Meld is in play, but the double repair already, as we're seeing again the creeps baited over and forcing Neutron also to react to this, but he hasn't lost the Ancient of War yet, and he has a second one in his main base now. If the Entangle comes through here, if he has enough mana, body blocking already happening. If he gets the mana, not quite. It was close, but the Keeper was just a little bit too far here. Hunt's opening again though, so we're gonna see that happening here. and just doesn't have the mana to get an entangle in. So again, we have items being bought. In this case, it is the Staff of Teleportation, as we've seen in the previous games. Double of Ancient of War now with a Hunter's Hall also on the side of Foggy. And yeah, very similar setup for Neutron as well. In terms of supply, Neutron is ahead though. 31 against 25, so quite a little bit more for him. And we're still seeing him with a creep down here, trying to get that through. Even surrounding one of the hunts and making that work. And has a Dust of Appearance, so there was no chance of getting a Shadow Melt through either. Owls in the trees on top of that too. And yep, the Ancient of War actually falling eventually there as well. So losing the second Ancient of War, relying on only one. A little bit of a weird game if you ask me. Like, definitely not quite what you would expect in a Nightelf versus Nightelf mirror at such a prestigious offline event, that those Ancient of Wars are being lost this early in the game. So in the good old WarCraft TV times, I would have asked, like, do we have a bug here? Is this desyncing? Or what exactly is happening here? The big problem that we're having for Neutron at this point is that he literally just has one production building. So he's just now gonna, I'm very curious to see how he's gonna play that now. But the production capabilities that we're having on his part are really limited at this point. He's still at 39 supply against 27, so he has a massive army. But if this comes down to it, with the Ancient Protector here in the main base, if the defense of Foggy is good enough, his sheer output of units will eventually find a position where he can easily hold that back. So this is really one of those moments when Neutron is trying to say, okay, I have to go in and I have to do damage right now. Losing that Ancient of War definitely didn't help him either. Ancient Protector trying to get it in a better spot. Bouncing of the Glaives already, attacking the Wisps here. He eats a bit of damage, needs to be careful with that, but we have Glaive Throwers now in the back as well. Foggy is starting to look better and better here. Supply is his problem. Level 2 versus level 1 in terms of the first heroes. And we have down to the bottom a Tree of Life now being built as well. Gets a Tree of Life in, still relying on a single Ancient of War, at least for the time being, and just cutting that attempt at an attack short for now. Adding the first few Glaive Throwers for himself though, and he has the access to the marketplace now. So with him having a bit more map presence and just the bigger army in general, he can now take map control, at least for the time being, and start to creep ahead. Foggy, on the other hand, I mean, he realizes that he can't just simply sit in his base the entire time and take a beating, so he's starting to move out and attempts to get at least a few units out of that. With a good entangle being placed, he might be able to do something here, but he also needs to be careful that he doesn't lose more units and therefore more ground, so he's just trying to add a little bit more damage in. Double checking your opponent's mana always helps, but there's definitely enough right now on the side of Neutron to get another entangle through. Has a Scroll of the Beast as well. He has the entangle, and immediately the Staff of Teleportation is being used. Doesn't even wait for this round. It's just straight up saying, okay, this isn't happening. I'm not taking damage here. Tree of Life already built, well, halfway built down here. But again, we're having now 41 against 34 supply. Triple Glaive Thrower already on the way. And even with the supply deficit that we're having for Foggy, he's still in a position where he now, with the Alchemist, is having a little bit of a head start. Because keep in mind, this tech onto tier 2 for Neutron is still a fair way out. So with the Alchemist, you actually have now some potential to maybe start a bit of a comeback here. Especially since the Glaive Thrower is already down. Nice micro on the Hunts coming in from behind here. And of course, we're seeing the same approach on the side of Neutron, trying to take those Glaive Throwers down. But with a little bit of dancing and good kiting, he should be able to get quite some decent damage in. And one Hunt is already down. He's trying to save the Glaive Thrower. But even if the Glaive Thrower goes down, there's a very good chance that he's taking a few of these units out. Keeper headed again into the main base, saving her, of course, a few units already. At this point, Foggy on 39 supply against 36. He's starting to take the lead there, using another Glaive Thrower, but that Hunt, if we have another hit come... Yeah, okay. I mean, the Huntress would have died eventually anyways, with those Huntress coming in from the side for Foggy, but still, that Hunt was suicidal for sure. Entangle coming through, Keeper on the way again, and this is slowly and steady. He's starting to come the complete way around. Foggy has the +1 attack upgrade. Neutron doesn't even have that. He has the expansion on the bottom right that he's trying to establish, but now the Alchemist is hitting level 2, another Hunt is falling, Entangle comes through, and Foggy is slowly and steadily starting to completely overpower his opponent. 36 supply against 31 here in the mirror, and it's actually pretty insane if you consider how this game started. It started with the... first of all, we had the mercenaries bought away, so the Entangle was pretty much useless at the early game for Foggy, and we had his Ancient of War die super early in the game as well. Town Portal has to be used now by Neutron as well too, and this is just not looking pretty. Ancient of Wind is being built, but he's losing more and more hunts now. That expansion is so far completely useless and was just a money drain and nothing else. There's no return on investment for the time being, and Foggy has completely turned the game. This is actually starting to look way better and better and better for him. The Ancient of Winds, that's something that eventually you still have to sniff out. But now Foggy is the one who hits level 2 with the Keeper, level 2.5 with the Alchemist. Has a good setup here. It's just a question of, does he find the expansion in time to set up a good timing here? And also, is he going to react to that tech? Has the Ancient of Wonders in production right now. We're seeing him with more Glaive Throwers being produced. Still that one Ancient Protector in the main base. But Neutron has definitely lost a lot of the edge that he had in the early game. Him taking out early on the Ancient of War for Foggy gave him a huge advantage, especially in the production. But then he lost his own Ancient of War, had a later tech than we saw for Foggy, and now we're seeing him with an expansion attempt. But that still, as I said before, hasn't really played dividends yet. The cool thing for him is he still has Scroll of the Beast here, so that's definitely going to help in a later fight. The one thing that we still have to figure out, though, is how many Wisps are going to be with Foggy, and is he going to get those detonates off properly. So let's see how that's going to work. For now, Foggy is just going for a little bit more experience. The Alchemist is level 3. Keeper should hit that early as well. We have Pendant of Energy for him, so really huge mana pool right now for him. Claws of Attacks +6 on the range hero make a lot of sense too. Another Ring of Protection. It's a little bit of a meme at this point already. But yeah, so for now, Forest Troll Shadow Priest has been gotten, and we have also Neutron now with a few of the Fairy Dragons here. Alright, so Foggy, I mean, again, he is now starting to fall behind in tech units a little bit, but we saw him with a pretty solid army, and he still has that. Keeper's on 3 now too. He's ahead in supply, but the question is, what does he do with that? Can he snipe the expansion of his opponent, yes or no? Keeper is moving back again with a Staff of Teleportation, and is now starting to just like heal up, get some mana points in there. Staff of Preservation has been taken by him too. The Treant knows what's happening with the expand, so he knows that he at some point has to set something up here. Goldmine has not really mined too much yet, hasn't even gotten the costs for the expansion and the Wisps down, but this is the attack that really matters. And there's a shit ton of Glaive Throwers. I mean, these bad boys are really going to do some work if he just focuses them onto the expand, but already we're seeing Neutron in a defensive position. And those Fairy Dragons are actually starting to be a bit of a nuisance. Now, we have an Alchemist against them, but there's not a lot of anti-air. You have the Alchemist, and you basically have your 2 heroes, and that's about it. So you have the 2 heroes. Question is, can he snipe that expand? And already we're seeing the Fairy Dragons aim straight for those Glaive Throwers. My opinion, he could have done a little bit more work here if he attacked earlier, but here's the timing, and let's see if that's going to be enough. Already the Alchemist in a little bit of trouble here, gets the pressure from the entire front line as we're seeing the Fairy Dragons focus onto the Glaive Thrower in the back line. Entangle comes through as Neutron hits it on the first hero, trying to staff him out and gets that done, but the Glaive Throwers are falling one after another. So does the ground army, though, on the side of Neutron. He loses most of them. Most of those Hunters are already gone, but now the attempt to snipe that expand. And of course, one Glaive Thrower after another falls. Expand gets unrooted here. 39 supply against 41. That Alchemist is already on level 4. Hits are coming through, but can he take that down? And yes, he can. Takes down the expansion, and Foggy for now trying to just make his way out here with the Alchemist. We have another level up for the Keeper, hits level 5, but here comes the Staff of Teleportation as we have the Keeper coming through as well. Hits the Entangle here, Fairy Dragons are in, and now the Staff of Preservation again passed over and immediately being used here. It's all about the Fairy Dragons right now. Can he somehow get rid of those? Can he counter them? Mass producing archers for the time being, getting the improved bows here as well. And yeah, Foggy is just like trying first of all to survive with the Keeper on level 3 and then trying to capitalize on that positional advantage that he has now. 38 supply against 37. It's all about the tech and the units here. In terms of heroes, we still have that double hero against single hero setup because Neutron has not invested into a second hero here. It of course also means that all of his experience goes over to the Keeper, and he has hit level 5 by now. Very likely that we're going to see Tranquility in this game as well. But without the expansion on the side of Neutron, this is definitely going to be a much bigger problem for him right now. It was a super close call. I mean, Foggy sacrificed so much of his army against those fairy dragons, especially in terms of glaive throwers, but eventually was able to still make the play here and take the expansion down. If Neutron is by any way able to keep that expansion and defend, the game is pretty much over and he just has to play it out. But the way it is right now, he has the better, well, he is going to have better heroes because he has more levels, he has access to the shop now, is creeping even more. Staff Preservation is there, again forcing back the fairy dragons for the time being and investing heavily into archers, which of course triggers on the side of his opponent an immediate reaction with more hunters on the ground, trying to just throw a couple of ground forces against them. Problematic still is of course that you're unarmored in this setup. So let's see how that's going to work out for him. We have still no expansion for either one after that one Tree of Life went down. Here come the Fairy Dragons again. Archers are starting to get some decent damage in, but not enough to be of any consequence just yet. Again, Tranquility could be a big factor. And in terms of items, we don't really have too much for the Keeper just now. He has the Boots of Speed, that's going to be important. Chase units down. He has the Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. But alright, here we go. Yeah, Scroll of Healing, was just about to say. That's definitely going to make a difference for him, depending on the focus fire that we're seeing from his opponent. This actually comes down to the wire. I mean, after game 1, I really would have said Foggy is absolutely ripping Neutron a new one. But then with the performance that we saw, with that aggressive play on the second map from the Blue Nightelf, it was pretty impressive. And now it comes down to this third map, where more and more we are seeing a pretty nice back and forth between the two of them. There comes the second hero, finally. Alchemist now also in play for Neutron. Very likely moving the Keeper back to only get the experience on the Alchemist himself. And yep, that's exactly what we're seeing here, trying to move him out of that position. But still no town portal, and here comes the move from Foggy. He's actually starting to move in, and he could scout this out, and indeed he does. And that's a really shit spot to be caught in. The Gunton Sea Turtle is nearly down, but again, he doesn't have a portal, and he's completely trapped in the back here. 52 supply against 50, even in a low upkeep already as we speak, and the first few Fairy Dragons are about to fall here. It's treants against treants. The spells are coming through as much as they can. Here's already the level up for the Keeper of the Grove from the side of Foggy, hitting the level 4, and the Focus Fire is still coming through, trying to take those Fairy Dragons down one after another. Even a Forest Troll Berserker in the mix. Mass amount of treants here on the side of Foggy. He's doing well, at least for the time being, but still it's even supply on both sides here. More Huntress falling, and the Focus Fire is absolutely on. Potion of Lesser Invulnerability already being used. He's trying to go for it. He doesn't get the Entangle though, doesn't have the mana here, but we are seeing Neutron on the run. That Creep Jack down there at the bottom left definitely making a huge problem for him. Entangle comes through, trying to get another hit in, and there's the death of the Keeper, and this could be the end of it. Keeper of the Groove down, Staff of Preservation for the save, and that's the GG as Foggy takes the 2-1 against Neutron.